You know, I think one of the things that we've got to be very careful about, especially as Christians, is to be careful about being under pressure to show that everything is working. God doesn't need us to demonstrate that Christianity works. Christianity was there thousands of years ago. It survived the Roman Empire. It survived the Greeks. So who are you now to think that you must hide your pain so that people don't see that Christians actually suffer? It might give God a bad reputation.
So they suffer in silence?
Because they're thinking, if I admit now to the brethren,
God is a weak God.
If I admit now to the saints that the divorce came, the business, I'm giving God a bad rap.
Right,
you know?
right.
So no, it is well.
Like he's not able to handle this.
It is well.
Right.
It is not well.
Right.
That's what pushing back the darkness is.
Right.
It is not well.
Right.
It's about moving beyond this superficial level of denialism. You allow pain to break you. I was shattered. I was broken, and I'm certain so was my mother as she went through her divorce. And I think that's what I learned. I learned to embrace the purpose of pain. So when you short circuit pain,
Purpose of pain.
the purpose of pain.
There is purpose in pain.
If you cut pain short, it's like whilst the pot is cooking, you take it off the stove. You are supposed to leave it, let it boil. Yes, it is hot. Yes, there is steam. It looks uncomfortable. It is shaking.
Right.
But as it is doing that, the heat is cooking. The heat is softening. The heat is giving flavor. The heat is releasing the flavors in the spices so that the whole thing now can be a meal that you can serve. The next time you think about hiding your pain, the next time you think about giving this view that your life is perfect, think about a pot that you are taking that is cooking nicely. You remove out of the heat. Let the heat do its job.
I will never enjoy a wonderful meal
if
the pot never goes through its full pain.
You understand? And you can even taste something that this thing is not, it didn't really get to that level where it's now nice and soft, falling off the bone.
You got it off the pot before we were done with the process.
We were not finished now. And the more you leave it there, the less effort that the person who is eating. You know, when I have to chew very strong, you must know that.
So there's this concept today about slow cooking. And you just let it be in the fire, man.
Listen, cry, okay? Breaks up are difficult. Divorces are difficult. Closing businesses are difficult. Making investments and you don't see those things. Let it break you. Cry tears. I cried until there were no more tears. I cried until I lost my voice. I embraced the gossip, you know. She thought she was all that, but not anymore. My mother the same. She thought she was going to be married and whatever, but look at it now. Embrace it. The pain is working. It is cooking. It is softening. It is flavoring. When you come out of it, you know someone who has been cooked, Dennis. You know.
Yep.
You speak to someone, you're like, this one
He's been through his processes.
No, this one is not raw.
Right.
This one has gone through something.
Right.
There's a process of refinement that this person has gone through, and it is such a pleasure to consume something from someone who has been properly cooked. And that's what makes the difference. So mine is, don't short circuit the pain. Don't try to give the idea that no, it's not that bad. It is that bad. It was that bad.
A breakup is that bad.
Hey!
It is. I've been damned, man.
Hey!
Hey!
My brother.
It shatters you to pieces.
I'm telling you. Let it do that. That's what is my lesson. In my pain, allow the pain to do its complete work. Let it do its complete work. Don't try and hide it. There were times when we walked by foot. In fact, for my high schooling years, I walked to school by foot in the rain and whatever, and I didn't have money for this or money for that, or I had one pair of shoes, or I couldn't afford the other things that the other kids could afford. Let it have its complete work. Because when you ultimately come out, you're going to be soft. You're going to be flavored. There's going to be an unmistakable flavor about your life, because you have not taken yourself off of the stove before you were finished cooking. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Well, even if we were to end the show here.
It's a good place to stop.
Man. Purpose. Pain has its purpose.
It's got its purpose. You gotta let it do it. You gotta let it do it. Don't allow people. And what people do is that they find substitutes. They find something. I had a toothache the other couple of weeks ago, and my husband is a medical doctor. He tells me that we've got to go to the dentist because there's an abscess. I say to him, you know what dentists do, right? Dentists they drill into the root of your tooth. So you want me to go deliberately, sit on that chair,
take myself there,
me,
open my own mouth.
Me. What I asked you was for Panadol.
I want to kill the pain.
I didn't ask you for dentists or drills or what. The thing I want is Panadol. I just want to deal with the pain.
Numb your pain.
That's what we do. People give us Panadol. They give you a little car here. They give you some whatever, smaller nyana backdoor relationship, just to keep you quiet. Keep you quiet. The pain is not doing what it's supposed. You're not dealing with the root of it. It's just a substitute.
So it will never go away.
It'll never go away.
You keep dealing probably with worse.
It'll never go away. And the thing with hurt and pain that is under the surface, you will keep attracting the same kind of people. If you see recurring patterns in your life, you are attracting the same kind of people, the same kind of struggles. There's something under there that has not been dealt with that keeps attracting this kind of relationship, this kind of personality. Because even though you are trying to hide it, it is there.
It's still present.
So it is, it was to my benefit. I ultimately went to the dentist and it was worse, man. It was worse. They had to take out 2 of them. They had to do all sorts of things inside my mouth, which I could have avoided if I had recognized that I must allow myself to go through this pain here in order for me to avoid greater pain in the future.
And you have reprieve ahead all the way.
You understand? Then you are sorted. You are done. You've taken care of the root.
So once in a while, pain is not to be avoided.
Go.
Deal with it head on.
Deal with it head on. In fact, think about it, Dennis, that we grow mostly through the difficulties that we have gone through. Like, I'm doing a PhD now. I did master's degrees. If I stayed at undergraduate level, I would not have grown if I did not expose myself to a curriculum. Just let's call pain a curriculum. Maybe that'll be
stretches
easier.
you.
Maybe that'll be easier.
Right.
You've got to take a curriculum that is much more difficult than your current level.
Right.
Because what that does is it forces you to stretch yourself towards the thing that is difficult.
Right.
Because as you stretch yourself towards it, that's how growth comes. So if you're avoiding pain, listen, this is difficult for me. You're the professional. Being in this show is difficult for me.
I'm going to take it for now.
But I'm stretching myself, man. This is pain.
And you're doing absolutely brilliant, man.
This is pain.
For a moment, I feel like I just want to shut up and just listen to you.
I'm taking myself through pain, okay?
I was
even asking you earlier about certain equipment, what, because I don't know what, but it's pain. I have learned that I have grown more in my life by just throwing myself in the deep end and going through and into those difficult, situations that I feel in my current level I'm not able to do. It's the only way we grow, man. There's no other way.
You've got to keep stretching yourself up.
Keep stretching yourself. Do the next degree. If you have been renting, think about what steps you need to take so that you become an owner. If you have been an employee, think about the next steps you need to take to be an employer. There's always a level to which you need to graduate.
Right.
It's going to come with some level of pain or difficulty, but that's the only way you transition. People who have transitioned are people who have embraced difficulty and pain. You're not afraid of it anymore.
Right.
You know, you're like, bring it on.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
bring it on.
And I'm just curious, what kept you through the pain? Where did you find the strength? What gave you the energy, the resilience just to keep it going? Where did you get the energy to keep going?
I think two things. The first, I've already mentioned that I felt it would be an insult to the mothers and the grandmothers who had suffered on my behalf if I gave up. I mean, that's just an insult.
Right.
They suffered so that I could keep going. So
Right.
that's the one thing I always had in mind.
Right.
That my mother has suffered too much. I need to keep going so that I become a return on her investment. The second was being born again. And the Christian faith will do something to you, Dennis, that I cannot explain unless you embrace it. And what Christianity did for me was that it showed me that what I need is already on the inside. So often we find it difficult to continue because we think there are things on the outside that we need that we don't have. We were talking earlier about the analogy of mining. This is the Goldmine show. And we find people who say, I know there is gold, but I've got nothing to mine with.
I don't have the equipment.
I don't have the equipment to mine with.
I'm ill-equipped.
I'm ill-equipped. I don't have the education. I don't have the contacts. I don't have the social capital.
Right.
In order for me to mine the gold that I know I have. And that's a mindset. It's a mindset that places the responsibility on the external. Something that you need out there that you don't have. And that's what the enemy does. He makes you feel like the things that you need are out there.
Right.
They're all out there. Just get the right people. If you can get into the right company, if you can be part of the right organization. Or for us as Africans, are we not told that what we need is not in Kenya? What we need is outside of Africa. What we need is outside of the black community. We're being
beyond
told,
reach.
yeah. What you need is outside of your blackness, the color of you need a different bleach yourself. You know?
Oh, your hair is not long enough.
No. Put on Brazilian. Your nails. No, your nails. This length. No. This length is. Isn't that a statement?
He just puts a spotlight on an inadequacy. It leaves you feeling inadequate.
It's a statement.
Right.
It's a statement that tells you that in order for you to be who you need to be, get something that you don't have.
Right.
Go and get someone else's nails.
Right.
Go and put someone else's hair.
Right.
Go and have someone else's complexion.
Bleach your skin as hard as you
Make yourself
can.
taller than you actually are.
Right.
So everything that you need, we're constantly being bombarded with this idea that it is outside of us.
Right.
And what the Christian faith did was that it flipped the coin.
Completely.
It turned the script and made me recognize, as the Bible says, that rivers of living water
Right.
shall flow on
Out
the
of
inside
your
of
bellies,
you.
man.
Oh my God. There is a level of sufficiency.
The reservoirs.
There is a level of sufficiency where you can stay home on a Friday night and you're not thinking about where the gig is. I don't care. I don't need a gig.
Right.
I'm good.
Right. Right.
I come
right.
into any situation and I'm like, I'm good.
Yep.
I have a lot to pour.
Right.
You know, I don't come here on a deficit.
Right.
I don't come here on a negative
Right.
balance.
Right.
I come here on a positive balance.
Your
because
tanks are full.
I'm overflowing.
Right.
As a matter of fact,
Right.
I'm overflowing.
Right. I can feel it.
I'm like, just let me know, what can I pour into your life?
Right. Right.
Because I think, you know, often the scales are kind of not balanced in the sense that people think that we come to them because we need something.
Right.
So if a relationship starts off in that footing that I have something that you need, then it means that I am the one who needs to adapt and to fit into your mold. Because you are the one who has and I am the one who does not have. But when you come overflowing,
Right.
you have a completely different conversation. In fact, what you want to know is, what can I give you?
Because you came to contribute into
I
this.
came to contribute
I have
into
something
this.
to offer. I didn't just come to suck off you.
Come on
So
now.
I'm not dependent
Come
on you.
on
This
now.
is not a parasitic relationship. I got stuff to offer,
You are
man.
preaching.
You know?
You are preaching.
And it's a function of the fact that I invested in me way before I came on
now.
this table, man.
Come on now.
So I'm not on
There's
a
a river.
deficit, man.
There is a river.
There's a river.
I'm not in a negative balance. I'm here. You know how in the scriptures, I think it's Genesis chapter 37, Jacob, he goes to Laban and he says, I have been in your house, I have labored for you. Then he says that when you came, you had very little. Then he makes a profound statement. He says, but since I came.
Let's take stock.
Oh! Since I came.
Let's take some stock
Can
here.
we just count your sheep?
Yeah, let's
How
take
many
stock,
did you
man.
have when we
Yeah.
started? That's a man who is confident about being a value add.
I came to add value
He
here.
knows what he is adding to the conversation, and that's what the Christian faith does. It causes you to recognize the positive balance that you come with. God builds into you. If you were in a deficit, you are now going to be in the positive. And when you come into any environment or situation, you become a value add. You even recognize that I thought I actually needed this. I don't need it. I thought I needed to compromise. I don't need to. I thought I needed that equipment. I don't need
Oh
it.
my goodness.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, people like those cannot be dumped, man. I can tell you that. From. Stop to damp value, man. You can't just damp value.
I'm undumpable.
Man. You're undumpable.
I should get a t-shirt
man.
like
There you go.
undumpable.
I'm undumpable. You have deposited so much value
I'm
in
telling
yourself.
you. I am telling you.
So when you just show up, value showed up.
I am telling you, that's the way we roll. That's what the Christian faith did. That's what kept me going through those times of difficulties. Initially, it was the sacrifices of my parents, my grandmothers, but as I accepted and embraced the Christian faith, I recognized that the river is on the inside of me. And the more that you build yourself up in the Christian faith, you become a value add in every environment that you encounter.
I'll tell you for free, I'm going to watch this show a couple of times. It's going to
Me
be
too.
on auto repeat mode.
Me too.
I want to just keep watching
I'm
this a
watching
couple of
this
times.
show. I am watching.
I'm going to watch it a couple of times. No doubt about that, man. But I want to jump into the offer in you.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm particularly fascinated by the title. Let's start there,
Yes.
man.
Pushing back
Back the darkness.
Pushing back the darkness. I think it comes from what I was saying to you before, that with a loss of identity and knowledge of yourself, you tend to accept even the unacceptable. In fact, the subtitle of the book is When You Are Tired of Accepting the Unacceptable. Because let me tell you, not everything that is thrown at you is something you should accept.
Right.
There are things you should violently reject. Like, this one has nothing to do with me. Keep your poverty, keep your dumping, keep your pain.
I think we should say the dumping again, right? I ain't part of this dumping
I am part
stuff.
of this dumping stuff. I am part of the poverty deal. I am part of depression. I am part of self-pity and self-blame. Don't accept. When you are tired of accepting the unacceptable, there are things that you just need to make up your mind about. That as far as Nothemba Kula is concerned, this will never be associated with my name. And you tell the enemy where to get off, and you draw very clear boundaries around what you will accept into your life and what you will not. And I think pushing back the darkness really is that statement for me that is a culmination of all of the trauma that I've experienced from childhood, the things that were unacceptable but I accepted because I did not have the language, because I did not have, I felt like I didn't have the tools necessary, whether it was like, like power dynamics. I was the child, and therefore I felt like I needed to accept whatever the older people were saying, or I was the woman and I needed to accept whatever the men were coming with, because in reality we still live in patriarchal societies. And so pushing back the darkness is my coming out. It's my way of saying, guys, if it is unacceptable to you, do not accept it. So I take readers along that journey. How do you come to a place where you are comfortable to draw the line? What language do you use? How do you build into yourself the character that is necessary to say this far and no more. I am not taking it.
You know, Nothemba, you know, by the time I say this is unacceptable, it says to me that then I must have also drawn myself from some dungeons and some pits. And I have defined who I am.
That is the truth.
And possibly defined also who I am not. And there's absolutely no ambiguity in my mind.
There's clarity. You are very
as
clear.
to who I am.
Very clear.
And therefore, because this is who I am, then this
It's unacceptable.
is unacceptable. And I have no chills, man. I can just look at you in the eye and just say to you, sorry if it gives you offense, and I'm not even sure whether to say sorry or not to say sorry. But this is just simply unacceptable.
It's not gonna fly.
And I think the journey of self-discovery must be an important part.
It's an absolutely critical ingredient of coming to that place. In fact, you can't define what is acceptable or unacceptable without that journey of self-discovery. And in the book, I talk about that. Not something that I've ordinarily done in my previous communication. Those people who follow me on social media and, you know, the prayer and the preaching ministry that I do. But here I become slightly more vulnerable. I talk about the experiences that have shaped my character and my personality, and why I tend to be unapologetic, because people will want you to be nice to them, but they're not going to help you.
Yep.
I don't know what nice helped anybody, actually. You know, you must just be nice. Why? Because it feels great to us, but like it's not going to help me.
Right.
No, I want to progress. And so
So I told you, I have this friend of mine in South Africa, man. I'm almost consuming it from his ears, but Eugene will be rolling on the floor, right? Eugene will just be rolling on the floor.
It is true.
Niceness that is neither here nor there
doesn't
can
help
be
you.
touched, can be valued.
It does not help you. You are being abused. You are being nice.
But isn't that what we've been taught?
You are
To be
being
just
mistreated. You are being nice. It is not going to take you anywhere. It will not. So I talk about different aspects of life. I talk about gender stereotypes. We live in patriarchal societies, especially in the African continent. I talk about racial stereotypes within the book and how you confront those race issues, the things that we have accepted as part of that narrative. I talk about marriage. I talk about raising children. I talk about the stereotypes that if you came from a family where people were divorced, then you're also going to just flow along that line. In fact, being married for 19 years for me is pushing back the darkness. Because according to the narrative of the community that I come from, if I didn't have parents who were together, I shouldn't be married for 19 years.
Right.
So I am telling the devil where to get off.
Right.
I am pushing back on that darkness.
Completely.
I am pushing
And
back.
that breaks it for your next generations.
Absolutely. And I
And
think
so you've actually fought a battle for your own.
absolutely. That's what it's about. It's about owning what you come with as trauma, as pain, but pushing back the darkness on it by not accepting. In fact, I was telling someone a story that I had a relative of mine who came to me and they said, oh, you know, suffering in this family. You know your aunts. There's the one on the side of your uncle, what. They tried, you know. I can see you are trying, but hey, you know, don't forget. You know, I didn't wait for a moment.
They almost want to come with a catalog of who.
I didn't wait.
Right.
This is the other thing about pushing back the darkness.
Right.
You push back on the spot.
Right.
You don't say, hey, hey, hey. You smile, you just
Tell me
laugh.
more.
No. I said, oh, is that so? I see. It looks like it must have been an unfortunate situation. And I made sure I looked at in the eyes. And I said that for those who will come after me, the children that will come after me, I am so happy that I have got an opportunity to change that.
Right. Right.
And I was addressing
Right.
that because it's a spirit.
Right.
It's something that you need to confront.
Right.
Because in thinking of something as a possibility, that yes, it can happen to me as well, you are slowly getting comfortable with the idea that things can also probably not work for you.
Right.
Because you come from a family of people who've struggled to make business
Probably
work.
didn't work for them.
You must reject it
Right.
at the first encounter.
Right. Right.
And violently so. And you must do it. You must express it. Don't say, oh, on the inside, yeah, I kept quiet. You know, I didn't answer. But on the inside, I was saying no. Those people don't attack you on the inside, do they?
No.
When an attack to you comes to you, does it attack you quietly on the inside?
No,
it doesn't.
it's loud.
It's very loud.
It's very loud. It's
And
on your
therefore-
face.
It's on your face. And therefore, when you push back that darkness, you push it back with the same force.
On the same platform.
On the same platform.
With the same vigor.
In the same conversation.
In the same conversation. We're not postponing
No.
it. We're going to deal with it
No,
now.
I'm not
and
calling
I think
you.
it also sends a clear message.
Yeah.
We are not going to have this discussion again.
No.
As far as this matter is concerned,
over.
you need to know where my position is.
This is done.
That's just it. It's done.
I'm not going to send you a WhatsApp. I'm not going to email you. Isn't it we're having a conversation? Let's do it.
It's going to be part of this conversation.
This is the thing.
Yeah, we're going to settle it here.
That's the way it goes.
That's how it works. So in my native space, we have this proverb that says,
Yes.
an arrow that comes by the night, where it comes through, you return it on the same spot.
Please say it in Swahili.
I can only say it in my mother tongue.
What
Because
is your mother
that's
tongue?
the sweetest one.
Please say it.
Come we go to go.
Oh.
Kashoka kidio.
I won't try.
You're just gonna return
I
it
love
right.
it.
Especially the one comes up.
I
See,
love it.
Basically, this is what they're saying.
Yeah.
If the arrow came through here,
Yeah.
it is foolhardy for me to point it a different direction.
Exactly.
I'm gonna point it right where.
That's
it
the
came
way we
by,
do it.
Same spore, man.
That's
I'm
where
gonna
we do
return
it.
it right there.
That's the way we do it. We push back the darkness. We will not accept things that are unacceptable. We will not accept people who treat us with an attitude that is of a value that is below our worth. We will not, and we're not going to feel apologetic about it.
Right.
And I think it's that kind of accepting mindset that Africans are poor. Africans, depend on another race in order to better themselves. Once you accept that mentality, you are doomed.
Right.
Mine is we need to push back on every form of darkness, and we need to be clear in our minds about the things that we will accept and the things we will not accept. And I go into depth on the book on all these different areas that I've talked about. And towards the end, because I am a believer and I understand that some of these things have got their origins in the subconscious, but also spiritually. There's a portion of the book that is just declarations. It is confessions.
Right.
It is
Right.
prayers. It is
Right.
you affirming yourself.
Right.
I will not be poor.
Right.
My children will not beg for bread.
Right.
You
Right.
wake up in the morning, you say, I am above, I am not beneath. I am going to lead. I have
Right.
solutions.
Right.
I'm going into the office in order to be a solution and to add value. All of these confessions and declarations that will affirm to you
Right.
who you
Right.
are, so that you
Right.
don't accept the unacceptable.
Right, right. And sometimes I think the tragedy of accepting, for lack of a better words, that trash
Yes.
that we call the darkness
Yes.
is the fact that then if they heap the first one
Yeah.
and you receive it,
Yeah.
they're going to heap on a second one.
They will.
And they're going to heap on a third one.
They will.
Before you know it, man, you're
They will.
underneath the weight of
Because
so much
Dennis,
negativity.
it gives them permission. There's a family friend who was
I like
telling
that
a
word.
story.
It gives them permission.
It gives
I like
them
that one.
permission.
I like that.
There was
Yes.
a family friend who was telling me that the husband, I think, clapped her, like on the face.
Right.
And she says, the way I cried, it was like he had taken a knife. And I was she says, I went out of the house and I cried through the the whole street. She says he just did.
But we had to
I
make a
said-
big deal of it.
I said, this will never be a part of my relationship. I cried out to all the neighbors and I was moving up and down. And she was saying, like, I'm sure they thought maybe he hit me with.
It became all dramatic.
Because she was like, I'm not giving this permission. You allow him to clap
It's the
you
last time
today.
this is happening.
He claps you today. Tomorrow, he's going to throw a glass.
Right.
The following day, he's going to smash you against the wall. That's how there's progression.
It's got progression.
This
yes.
nonsense has got progression.
Right. Nonsense has got progression.
So nonsense, you must stop from level one.
You are unacceptable. Not
It's
in
not
my
gonna work.
space.
You know how they say terms and conditions apply?
Yep.
Terms and conditions apply. When I was engaged to my husband,
Right.
both of us did this.
Right.
We said, these are the deal breakers.
Right.
And it reminded me of a story, you know, a very wonderful man of God who passed on, used to tell about a dog and a bone. And he says that there was a dog that used to be kicked. You know, it would just walk around and people would kick it, people would spit at it, and they thought it was a weak dog. But the dog had a bone. The moment one unfortunate day, one unfortunate person touched that bone, it revealed the true colors of that dog. And his challenge to us was, what is your bone? What is the thing that you will not accept? What is the thing that you might spit, you might talk about me, you might do whatever, but this is my bone. Never get into relationship with people who do not know their bones, because those are the terms and conditions that the relationship depends on. And if they don't verbally express it, you are going to discover it along the line. Every time I do something like this, it brings out a different character to this person. It means I've touched a nerve. It means I have touched a bone. And so these things have got to be clearly defined in terms of what will be acceptable to you and what will not be acceptable. And we did that with my husband.
Right.
And I told him, I said, look, if you cannot have respect for the mother who gave birth to me, listen, just go, I go. There's no marriage, there's no engagement, there's no nothing. That is my bone. That woman rose and fell on my behalf. I am not going to marry anyone who disrespects her.
Right.
She is one of my bones.
Right.
The second of my bones was my Christian faith.
Right.
If you are a threat to my relationship with God, I'm gone. I am gone.
Right.
Because God was there when I was at rock bottom.
Right.
God was there before you met me. God was there when I was depressed. When I was considering suicide, God was there. So who are you? How now am I going to trade my relationship with God for you? You were not there. He's my bone. It's not going to happen.
Right, right.
So you've got to know these bones. You've got to know these.
Know your bones.
Know your bones.
That's a good time, man. Know your bones.
The things that are not acceptable to you. And the book does exactly that. It brings you to a place where you are thinking through about what are my bones,
Right.
what are the things that I'm not willing to accept,
Right.
what are my terms and conditions.
Right.
Because any serious institution has got terms and conditions. The bank will tell you, we'll give you the money, but these are the terms and the
Right,
conditions.
right,
They structure the relationship, they structure the transaction such that it becomes viable.
Right.
So that's what the book is about.
Man, I think, folks, man, I want to encourage you to get a copy of that. I hope we have them in Nairobi.
You do. You have them in
Where
Nairobi.
can I get them?
In fact, the book is being published here in Nairobi by ABBA Publications.
Right.
It's going to be available in bookstores around Nairobi. Is there Naivas?
Naivas, yes.
Is it
one of the
Naivas?
stores. Naivas.
Naivas is one of the big stores, and I
Right.
think it's going to be stocked there as well.
Right.
But we'll provide more information in terms of the other stores. But it will be widely available in Nairobi. It will also be available online, including Amazon.
So I just go online and just pick my copy.
Absolutely.
And I push
Absolutely.
the darkness away. Man.
Push away the darkness.
Push away all of this dark.
That's right.
Man, I think we've got to rise.
We do.
We've got to rise to a point where I can say, here are my boundaries.
It's important.
Here are my boundaries.
It's important.
I'm not available for any kind of conversation, and I'm not available to be handled
That's
in
right.
any way.
That's right.
There is how you handle me.
That's right.
This shall be acceptable. This cannot be.
That is absolutely correct. And I think that the people who make us feel guilty are the people who benefit from that mindset. So if I benefit from you accepting trash, I'm going to tell you that all you need to do is to just continue to be nice, continue, because I benefit now. I want you to be like that because my plan is to give you nonsense.
Right.
So I must condition you
Because it
that
benefits me.
I must condition you that it is okay to accept this kind of thing because that transaction and that mindset works for me. So I think we really need to educate, especially women and young girls, in my own opinion, around how it is absolutely important as we raise our children for them to be clear about what it is that they must never accept from anyone. Totally.
Nothemba, 19 years of marriage. We've just talked about terms and conditions.
Terms and conditions apply, man.
Man, what does
do.
it take to run 19 years
It takes God.
And looking, I mean, you don't look like you've been in it for 19 for sure, man. I mean, he's doing an amazing job. You guys are doing an amazing job. But what does it take on this 19?
Listen, it takes God. But I think beyond God, it takes vulnerability. It takes the willingness to look at yourself and say, you are right. What I said was wrong.
Which is tough to do.
It's very, very difficult. You have got to be committed to truth. Committed to truth. Even when you are the one who has made the error. I mean, my husband is an incredible, incredible man. I actually think he's a better husband than I am a wife. But I am not the same person I was when I met him. I told you because of the divorce, I had issues with male authority. I was always at a position where if you were male and you wanted to advance a certain opinion, I'm out of the room. I'm not talking. You're not talking to me.
Right.
I really had issues.
It almost became a darkness to push away as well.
I had serious issues with male authority, and God blessed me with a husband. You know, when the scriptures say husbands love your wives, there's something very profound in that. When you take that first and initial step as a man, you open up a door and an avenue that makes me want to do things I would have otherwise never done. I have confronted my own weaknesses. I have had very difficult conversations with my husband, looking at each other in the eye. I am crying. It's even difficult to express what I want. It's ugly. It's real ugly. 19 years of marriage is a lot of ugly. It's a lot of truth. It's a lot of tears. We have times where we decide that we are now going to evaluate how was the last month. Don't wait for the anniversary. Don't wait for the year to end and then you are now, let's talk about last week. You know, how was this week? I know we were busy, we didn't get time, blah, 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 but how were things? And take that feedback in because it's God's way of putting you back on path, back on course. Because in the normal, day to day, you're going to drift apart. You're going to go to work and then you'll pick up an attitude. You're going to go back to your family and see them. Something of your past is going to come back. By the time you engage again, there are elements that have creeped in. And that commitment to truth that says, we were having a conversation last week and you looked at me funny. What was that about? My normal response would have been, looked at you funny way. I didn't look at anything funny. I didn't look at you. I don't know anything. That would have been my normal response.
Right.
But because of this commitment to truth, I have to say, honey, you are correct. You are right. You know what? There's something that happened. I'm sorry. You have got to be committed to truth. You cannot hide. When the scriptures in Genesis say the man and the wife, they were naked and not ashamed. You have got to come to the place of nakedness without shame. And that's why it's important to be with the right person that you are comfortable to be naked to. Because if you are married to someone where you constantly have to perform, you constantly have to be educated, you constantly have to have this English or whatever, I
say,
say,
standard to match up all the time.
I'm telling you, I say, and it's a joke, no offense to anyone, I say one of the reasons why I love that I'm married to a Xhosa guy is that when we fight, I can say, hey! In my language,
native
I
language.
Say, yeah. Now imagine I must say it in English.
In English, man. And some things are just best said in your native tongue, man.
I must now say it in Italian. No offense, it's a joke. Please don't be offended.
Absolutely.
But I'm just saying, it's this commitment to truth and being with someone you are comfortable to be naked with. And that nakedness works both ways. If I'm always the one who's vulnerable, I'm always the one who's saying I'm sorry, I'm always the one who's saying I was wrong, then it becomes a little bit difficult. Now, the stigma now of you are the one who is always the problem now kind of starts to creep in. And then there is blame, there is avoidance of responsibility and all that. So I think you really, as a couple, need to give each other a safe space to be naked. A safe space to kind of say all the things and to admit all of the things you would not. There are times I come home and I tell my husband, I so disappointed myself today. I went into that meeting and I was unprepared. They asked me a question and I fluffed, I talked about everything except for what they asked me. I felt so horrible. I tell him, I say, it was so bad. It was so bad. I have shamed the gospel now.
I was not a good ambassador today.
That presentation was the worst thing.
Right.
And we talk through it.
Yep.
And you need that space because you do have to be committed to truth.
Right.
Even when it puts you in a bad light. Because that's the only way. When Jesus says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. When you become committed to truth, you are committed to Christ. You give Christ permission.
Right.
To be part of your relationship, to strengthen you when you are weak. If you start telling lies, if you start avoiding, you are pushing him out. And so don't look at it as just truth in the sense of what you say. Look at it as truth in the sense of the God who is an embodiment of truth.
Oh, that's true.
Every time I say something true, I am bringing God in. I am allowing God to help me where I'm weak. I am allowing God to compensate for the both of us even when we have been weak because God is the absolute embodiment of truth. So, there's a whole lot more, but, you gotta...
I think that's going to be in our next conversation because there's a lot more. Truth of the matter is marriage also is under attack.
It is true.
And their destinies at stake.
It is true.
And many of them are disillusioned post that point.
Absolutely.
I don't think God intended for us to struggle that hard in that space.
Absolutely.
And therefore, to see 19 years of marriage.
Yeah.
There is enough bad news that goes out there, and I don't think we celebrate the likes of the 19 hard enough.
Yeah, we don't.
And it's important that we salute you for it.
Amen.
And
Thank
acknowledge it.
Thank you.
And indeed remind everybody, it works.
It does.
This has been 19 years.
It does.
And going on strong, man.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You're invited to the 20th anniversary, by the way.
Well, I look forward to it.
You have to pay your own tickets, though.
No worries.
You're
no
invited
worries,
anyway.
No worries. It might give me an excuse to bring my wife down. I have that. But also, and as I think about that 19, it has also enabled you guys even to build enterprises.
Yes.
And to build many possibilities. And I
Yes.
don't know which of those you're free to share.
Yes.
But part of that ending is an inspiration to know that then the girl who we described initially,
Yes.
God has been good to her.
Yes.
She's come a full cycle.
Absolutely.
And this is where we are today.
Absolutely. And I think that's why we have a responsibility to celebrate our wins. And not to be quiet about them. And I know we live in a society, as you've mentioned, in terms of social media, but some of it is quite legitimate. I do want to encourage the people who celebrate their wins. Celebrate your wins because that's what the struggle was for. There are people who are still in a different, point in their journey. And it is encouraging to them to know that as they persevere, they can also come to 19 years of marriage.
Right.
They can also have 3 master's degrees. They
Right.
can also do all of the other things that God has enabled us to do.
Right.
And so we are incredibly thankful and we take absolutely every opportunity to celebrate our wins.
Right, right. And investing heavily within the medical sector, which is basically your profession. You have a common profession
We do.
between you and your husband.
We do.
Yeah.
The difference, though, is that he is more into, he's kind of transitioned, but as a medical doctor, it's more one-on-one. So you see patients, one patient.
Right.
But I work with health systems.
Right.
And what that means is that I work with governments, I work with the private sector. We talk about primary healthcare facilities, we talk about hospitals, we talk about drugs, we talk about waiting times, we talk about staff attitudes towards patients, those kinds of things that even if a doctor can really give you good treatment, but if you go to a facility that is dirty, the staff are rude, you wait for 5 hours, even the good care that you have received is going to be undermined
By the
if
wider
the
ecosystem. Right.
If the ecosystem doesn't work.
Correct.
So that's more my line of work, to make sure that the individual care that doctors provide is supported by the right kind of infrastructure and environment so that people, ultimately become healthy and whole.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the whole total experience then becomes much more pleasant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally.
When did you do all this? Things?
It's because of that guy who dumped me.
Well, that guy, maybe you need to look at the camera and say, thank you for dumping me.
If you are listening.
Yep. And he probably is. Once in a while, we've got to thank God for the guys who dumped us, the relationships that didn't work.
Tell me about it.
And I think it goes back to the point you made, man. There is purpose
There's
in the
purpose in pain. Absolutely.
It pushes us to a different direction.
Yeah, and we shouldn't avoid it. It's working for our good. It really is. Yeah.
But I've also seen you very passionate about the girl child.
Very passionate about the girl child for obvious reasons, because I experienced most of my challenges and difficulties as a young girl, and so I understand firsthand what it is to be 12 and not to know what you're supposed to do, and to be given all kinds of views about what you should do with your life. In South Africa, we had a recent incident where there was a young girl and there was an issue at the school because of the way she wore her hair. And it was like a huge afro that she wore, which was, not neat in a way. And we see that in many societies where we are being defined. People are telling us like the way to wear our hair. People are telling us the way to walk, the way to sit. In fact, I've never heard of a young boy who was told, don't sit like that. But the young girls, close your legs, don't sit like that. So now you are being told, okay, close your legs, okay, do your hair, okay. So you are getting this idea that who you are and how you are is a function of the people who are around you and what they tell you to do. And so I think young girls are much more vulnerable. And because, we must admit, we live in African, patriarchal societies, it is very difficult for young girls to find that voice without feeling like, we are told, no, that's feminism. You are being told you are bashing the male gender or whatever it is. So every time you try to express yourself as a young woman, you are kind of told that this is not acceptable in this society. So what must you do? So I think this is why people tend to just accept these things, and they're like, this is the way that it was before me. I'm not going to be the one, who's now going to kind of break or change the status quo. But I think my book essentially is saying exactly that. It is your responsibility. Imagine if our forefathers had said slavery was here before we came. Who are we? Let's stay with it. They fought. All of the progress that humanity has made has been a function of individuals who decided to push back. Right. That yes, this is the way that it was, but because we are here now, it is not going to continue to be that way.
And you determine the future is not necessarily a continuation of the
past. Totally.
This is where it ends up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nothemba.
Thank you.
I could listen to you all week, man.
I could answer your questions all day.
So we're going to have to do this at some point.
You ask great questions, by the way. You ask. You do know that the answers that are given are a function of the questions that are asked. So credit to you.
Absolutely. Man, I'm inspired. I think this show was for me.
It was for me too.
And I keep telling guys, man, I think one of the benefits of doing this thing,
yes,
I receive it firsthand.
Amen.
I'm the first guy who got all of this stuff.
Amen.
I'm the first beneficiary of this show.
Amen. And of course, we're both listening to the tape, right?
A couple of times.
Absolutely.
Once is not going to be enough.
Absolutely.
It's going to be autoplay and autoplay. So good to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So grateful.
Really appreciate.
I can tell you for free, there's a life transformed.
Amen.
And the first one was this one.
Amen.
The first one was this one, man. The first one was this one, man. The first one was this one, right here.
Thank you.
Right here. And I must say, we are happy to have you in Nairobi. We don't mind you living here a little longer.
Yes, sir.
We are wonderful people. We are absolutely hospitable and warm people.
You really are.
And so we want to welcome you. This is home.
Thank you.
Consider making this home. Man.
Thank you.
Why not?
Absolutely. Why not? Yeah.
Why not, man? Why not?
Yeah, I'll come to you. Maybe we can discuss.
Happy to.
Thank
man,
you.
You've done an amazing job. Thank you
so much. Really appreciate this.
And especially when I think about Nothemba coming from South Africa, where we've got the Goldmines on the Goldmine show.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
Man.
Thank you,
Brilliant
sir.
Stuff.
Much
Brilliant
appreciated.
Stuff. Brilliant stuff, man. Oh, folks, you know we could keep going and going and going, because on where inspiration is, there shall we be found. Where wisdom is, there shall we be found. Where we have no apologies for our progress, you're going to find us right there, man. We will make our abode on the platforms that says, for those that came before us, they made an investment. But they must have made an investment with a vision of a great return of that investment. One of the amazing questions that has been asked on today's conversation is, when you look at how far you've come, how great of a return on investment of those that invested before you and for you and in you have you truly given back.
Yeah.
We cannot apologize for succeeding.
Yeah. That's right.
We cannot be apologetic about moving forward.
That's right.
We're going to go through our pains now with a fresh understanding that even pain has a purpose.
Yes, it does.
And it's going to fully serve its purpose so that when it is fully done, we will come on the other side better, stronger, refined, polished, and everything else, man. I think it must have been one of those scriptures that says, I consider it pure joy. And he says, consider it pure joy, my brethren, when you go through all sorts of pain and suffering. For when it is fully done, it's going to do its work in building your character and in building the persona that you eventually become. Don't cast the pain.
Yeah.
Go through it. Now, understanding it's got its own purpose. Stay long enough through it and come to the other side better.
That's right.
That's what gold mines do. And remember, man, you are a gold mine.
Amen.
Once in a while, gold mines go through their different incidences and episodes. But keep your eye on the goal. Keep your eye on the prize. Keep working the greatness on the inside of you. Don't you stop at the pain junction. Keep going, man. One of the favorite musicians I listened to in my young age was a gentleman called Ron Kenolly, and he did a song says, if you're going through hell, don't hold it. And if you're going through hell, don't stop. All you gotta keep doing is go ahead. Go ahead. Keep going right up ahead, man. Well, it's about all the time we had for today's show, and I hope you've been blessed and inspired at the same time, just like as much as I've been. It's been an amazing, amazing conversation. I told you, man, I'm going to watch it a couple of times. I don't know how about you, but I suspect you might just want to watch it a few more times. Pick a pen and pick a notebook and keep writing the notes. Keep getting better. Keep growing. Keep becoming. Keep working the greatness on the inside of you. Don't you shortchange yourself. Push away the darkness.
That's right.
Become all that God destined you to become. Well, until next time, keep becoming. Keep working the greatness inside of you. Don't shortchange yourself. Keep thriving.
Amen.
Don't forget to follow us on the Goldmine Show on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and everywhere else. I'm sure they can also follow you.
Yes,
you want to share
can.
your pages too?
Absolutely.
Yep, please go
I'm
ahead.
everywhere.
Yeah,
I'm everywhere.
Everywhere. Living no stones unturned.
I am everywhere.
Yep.
I am Nothemba Kula on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter. We also have a website, which is www.kdinitiative.com. And that'll give you all the information on the work that we do.
Well, I can tell you that's a website worth visiting, man.
Yeah.
Nothemba is an individual worth following.
Amen.
Bless you guys and Nothemba one more time. And
thank you, sir. Thank you,
I mean,
sir.
I just can't thank you
Thank
enough
you, sir.
for the wealth
Thank
you've just
you.
unleashed, man.
Thank you,
bless
sir.
you, bless you, bless you.
Much appreciated.
Thank
Asante.
you. Asante Sada. Well, till next time, God bless you. Keep following the Goldmine Show, man. Keep it coming. We're out. God bless you.